Shane Bieber's story is one of those rare baseball journeys that feels both familiar and extraordinary at the same time. Familiar because it begins, like so many others, with a young kid who fell in love with the sound of a baseball hitting the pocket of a glove, and extraordinary because very few ever turn that childhood devotion into a career built on mastery, poise, and an almost surgical approach to pitching. When you hear the name Shane Bieber today, you're not just thinking about a pitcher who earned an All-Star nod, or a Cy Young Award, or the respect of hitters who step into the batter's box knowing they are about to face a craftsperson as much as a competitor. You're thinking about someone who represents precision, evolution, mental fortitude, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. A pitcher who has spent every year of his career reinventing himself, sharpening what already worked and rebuilding what didn't, all while carrying himself with the humility of someone who never forgot where the journey began. Long before he became one of the most dominant pitchers of his era, Shane Bieber was the kid in Orange County who didn't necessarily overpower opponents with raw velocity, but instead outsmarted them. He learned early that command could be just as dangerous as power, that movement could unsettle hitters just as much as speed, and that consistency often trumps flash. His adolescence was rooted in a simple but powerful philosophy: get better every day. That mindset would become the backbone of everything he later achieved. At Laguna Hills High School, he wasn't the loud, in-your-face phenom scouts drooled over. He wasn't the kid throwing 95 at 17 or lighting up showcase events. Instead, he was the quiet worker, the one who didn't need attention, the one who believed that if he simply kept improving, opportunities would find him, even if they didn't arrive as quickly as they did for others. Even as college recruiters overlooked him, even as he was forced to walk on at UC Santa Barbara rather than arrive on campus as a highly touted scholarship arm, he held firm to his internal compass. He knew what he could become long before the sport caught up. At UCSB, he transformed. He refined his command, studied hitters obsessively, and tightened his delivery until it was as repeatable and smooth as any pitching coach could dream of. He didn't just learn how to pitch. He learned how to think like a pitcher, how to anticipate reactions, how to exploit weaknesses, how to stack pitches in sequences that felt like chess more than baseball. And when his team made a historic run to the College World Series in 2016, baseball finally saw what had been brewing all along. This wasn't just a dependable right-hander. This was a future ace. The Cleveland organization saw it too. They drafted him in the 4th round, a round where most players dream of eventually reaching the majors, not dominating them. From the moment Bieber entered the system, coaches marveled at how quickly he adapted, how effortlessly he executed pitches, how every level seemed to slow down for him even as the competition grew fiercer. He didn't need years to settle in. He didn't need to be molded. He arrived almost fully formed, not in terms of physicality or power or experience, but in terms of mindset. He was already a professional long before he became one. When he reached the big leagues in 2018, what stood out wasn't just his command, it was his calm. Young pitchers often enter the majors with nerves that show in the smallest details. The fidgeting, the deep breaths, the tight shoulders. Bieber seemed immune to that tension. He had an aura of steadiness that radiated from the mound out toward the field. Teammates trusted him instinctively. Coaches knew exactly what they were going to get. And hitters quickly learned that his pitches weren't just accurate, they were intentional. He threw with purpose, always a step ahead, always dictating pace. But 2019 and 2020 were the years he went from promising starter to one of the best pitchers on the planet. In 2019, Bieber's command blossomed, his slider sharpened, and his resolve deepened. He didn't just pitch, he dominated. He used every inch of the strike zone, painting corners, expanding edges, outthinking hitters in ways that felt almost unfair. That season, he earned the All-Star Game MVP and firmly established himself as the leader of the staff. Then came 2020, a season shortened by global chaos, a year in which nothing was normal except for one thing: Shane Bieber's brilliance. In that abbreviated season, he was untouchable, historic, a modern marvel of command, endurance, and strikeout artistry. He won the AL Cy Young Award unanimously, a rare honor that only the sport's most overwhelming performers ever receive. But what stood out wasn't just the numbers. It was the way he achieved them. He was never reckless, never erratic, never reliant solely on velocity. He was a painter working with a baseball. Every pitch felt deliberate. Every inning felt controlled. Every outing felt like he was conducting a symphony. But greatness isn't built only in dominance. It's built in perseverance. After 2020, Bieber faced challenges that test even the strongest competitors. Injuries arrived. Mechanics needed adjustments. Velocity dipped. Doubt from the outside world appeared, questioning whether he could continue to anchor a rotation, whether the magic had started to fade. Yet the defining feature of great athletes isn't whether they fall, it's how they rise. And Bieber rose with the same quiet intensity that has fueled him since he was a teenager. He rebuilt his body. He retooled his pitches. He trusted the process. Some pitchers panic when the radar gun drops. Not Bieber. He adapted. He leaned on movement, deception, sequencing, and maturity. He didn't chase who he used to be. He evolved into who he needed to be. And in doing so, he reminded everyone that true pitching genius is not measured by raw power, but by the ability to adjust, reinvent, and compete regardless of circumstance. That is the magic of Shane Bieber. Not just his past dominance, but the mental steel that allows him to remain elite even in the face of adversity. A pitcher can't survive at the highest level for as long as he has unless he possesses an unshakable core, a foundation of discipline, intelligence, and emotional balance. Bieber has that in abundance. He doesn't merely attack hitters, he studies them. He doesn't rely on one pitch, he orchestrates entire at-bats. He doesn't unravel when mistakes happen, he resets instantly. That kind of temperament is rare in baseball, a sport that punishes doubt and magnifies frustration. And yet Bieber remains his own constant. Steady, composed, focused. Off the field, he reflects that same balance. He is grounded, respectful, thoughtful, and aware of the privilege and responsibility that come with being a professional athlete. He has always carried himself in a way that resonates with fans. Humble enough to stay relatable, confident enough to inspire, and steady enough to represent his team and his sport with dignity. He doesn't chase spotlight moments, but they find him anyway because excellence naturally gravitates toward those who work quietly and relentlessly. His teammates trust him not just because of what he does on the mound, but because of who he is in the clubhouse. He leads without demanding attention. He supports without needing praise. He encourages without theatrics. On a team, those qualities matter. They create culture. They shape chemistry. And Shane Bieber has always been a player who elevates those around him simply by how he approaches the game. But perhaps the most powerful part of his legacy is the way his story inspires anyone who has ever been overlooked. Anyone who wasn't the biggest, the fastest, or the most hyped. Anyone who had to earn everything the hard way. Shane Bieber's journey is proof that beauty exists in patience, that greatness can be built quietly, that mastery is not always loud, and that resilience is often the most underrated skill an athlete can possess. His career shows that belief in craft, belief in improvement, belief in oneself, is often the difference between a dream fading and a dream taking shape. And as his story continues, one thing remains abundantly clear. Shane Bieber is far from finished. He still has chapters left to write, innings left to pitch, crowds left to silence, hitters left to dismantle, and legacies left to build. He remains a pitcher shaped by discipline, elevated by intelligence, and strengthened by experience. And wherever his journey leads next, he will continue to anchor rotations, inspire younger pitchers, and remind baseball fans everywhere why the art of pitching is as breathtaking as any home run or highlight reel moment. There is a calm intensity in the way he pitches, a sense that every movement is intentional, every pitch is part of a larger narrative, and every outing is another opportunity to honor the game he loves. That is the soul of Shane Bieber, a competitor who understands that baseball is not just about overpowering. It's about outlasting, outthinking, and outworking. It's about showing up every day and finding a way to be better than you were before, even in the smallest ways. It's about loving the craft so deeply that failure never defines you and success never distracts you. Shane Bieber's legacy will be one of precision, professionalism, and perseverance. A pitcher who mastered the strike zone like an artist mastering color. A competitor who outgrew expectations and silenced doubts. A leader who never needed spotlight to shine. and a man whose story reflects everything beautiful about the long, winding, unpredictable road that creates greatness in sports. Thank you for spending time with this tribute to Shane Bieber, a pitcher whose poise, intelligence, and heart continue to make baseball more meaningful for everyone who follows the game. If you enjoyed this deep look into his journey, his growth, and his lasting impact on the mound, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more long-form stories honoring the athletes who inspire us with their dedication, resilience, and love of the sport.